Good evening out there. How you guys doing tonight? It's Mike, and I'm back again with my brother Jay with Soberheadz Message of the Day. What's up, Jay? How you doing, bro?
I'm all right, man. Can't complain. God is good, man. Just
Hey,
enjoying life right now.
yeah, let me share this joint on your page. Then we could get started. We're gonna go over the different things that we're gonna do. Go to your page. John Rogers, right at the top, my guy. All right, let's get started. Yeah, bro. So, like I told you before we came on, my church just did a lesson on addiction, and they had some key points that I want to go over with you and get your input in because I think both of us probably have some experiences in all of these like little subject areas they hit on. Not
Mhm.
gonna go through the scriptures and all that stuff, but I'll forward you a copy of it if it's sent to me. But the topic areas that they hit were like vital, and I think that you'll be able to identify with them. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I'm gonna go over that, and then both of us gonna chop it up. I think it'll be interesting to see like how we uh how we both how we both came through these different situations. All right, so the first one is constant internal questioning. It says people who don't have addictions don't wonder if they have a problem. They have no need to waste thought on whether they have a problem. The
Mhm.
spirit will cry out no matter how much we try to suppress it. If we're paying attention, the spirit tells us our addictions whether we repent or and change or not. If you question within yourself things such as what am I doing? Why do I keep doing it? Why can't I stop? Or does the Father really care about this particular habit? Pay attention. Your problem had crossed the gray area in spiritual oppression. Have you? Let's start with what am I doing? Do you remember having that kind of discussion with yourself?
That was every day I woke up after I was drunk. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, you always question yourself after the fact that you did it. You know what I'm saying? So it
Mm,
wasn't like, you know, the question was, why did I get drunk last night? You know what I'm saying? And then you
mm-hmm.
had to go back and really think about it because you know, there probably was no reason at all for you to get drunk. You know what I mean? So then you start looking for things. You know what I mean? You start internalizing it to the point where the questions I think just start coming out of left field. You know what I mean? Like, uh, am I good enough for my kids? Am I good enough for my wife? Am I doing a great job at my job? You know what I mean? Just little stuff like that. You know what I mean? When the devil gets into your head, it's easy for us to turn to them vices, man.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And I remember thinking about that, man. I was trying to fix something like my microphone just got loose. I'm gonna have to fix it once we get done. I was just thinking about that when they came out with this lesson, like I said that mad times just looking in the mirror like, damn, like especially during the end, like what am I doing with myself,
Yeah.
man? Like, how did it get to this point? You know what I'm saying? Like how did it get so bad? Like, why can't I stop? And I remember thinking like one day, like when I really knew I had an issue, it was like I asked myself, like, when was the last time you didn't drink?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was thinking back and I really couldn't put my finger on that day that I didn't drink.
Hmm.
And that's when I was like, yo, this thing then went somewhere totally left. You know what I mean? And then but the problem was I had got so comfortable and normal that it seemed like the regular life now.
Yeah.
So regular life of being sober and then getting drunk occasionally had flipped, and then being sober became the rare occasion now.
Hmm.
So I didn't feel comfortable without having the alcohol in my system anymore. You know what I mean? So it was like when it get to that point, that's when something totally different. Like for me, that's when I knew like things changed. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I mean, my problem was I thought I had a system that that I could work to
Mm.
stay a functional alcoholic. You know what I mean? So like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I drunk a gallon and I drunk a gallon of water and I worked out for a half an hour, it would balance out. You know what I mean? So like,
All
you know,
facts. All
so now
facts.
you
All
think you're
facts.
in control of this situation. You know what I'm saying? And the end result is you still got to do the work. You know what I mean? I'm doing work to get drunk. I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
work to cleanse my system out, and then I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
exercise, which is opening up my pores and everything else. And I'm like, okay, now I'm fresh and I can do it all over again. So you start questioning yourself to the point of, why can't I get drunk every day? You know what I'm saying?
Rationalizing it.
Yeah, because I got the system, you know what I mean, that it gets me through each day. You know what I mean? So now
Mm.
I come comfortable with the fact of, there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you because I know how to be a drunk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
and that was something that I really had to look at myself as I was doing the recovery part, because it was always the control thing. You know what I mean? I can control how I drink. I can control, quote unquote, how I recover, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can control when I would start over. The process of getting drunk again. So, man, the questioning, the internal questions that you have, that the answers to, that's when it becomes a problem. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
that's the deep part right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, if you go to the doctors and they tell you stop drinking, but yet and still you drinking, you playing a game with your life. You know what I'm saying? But you like, all right, I've been drinking this long, ain't nothing happened. Why should I stop? You know what I'm saying? So,
Rationalizing it.
those type of questions, man, is like, whew.
I remember being like that, man. I remember going to a nutritionist because I've been battling this weight thing for years, and I
Mhm.
still asked them like, "How bad is it if you still drink though?" And then once he said like, "It's if you drink white liquor and then you just don't mix it with nothing sweet." You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It ain't that bad. Bingo. That mean that
Gave you,
now
gave you an
now
out.
now I'm trying to watch everything that I eat and
Mhm.
this, but I'm drinking. So
Yeah,
it's hard to. The hard part is once you get all that liquor in your system, it's hard to go get a salad.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now you want something to try to soak
You
up
want
the
that cheeseburger.
alcohol.
Yeah, you want that
Yeah.
cheeseburger. You want that Applebee's or that Fridays, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you know how we used to be up in there.
yeah.
You better believe it. Now the next one says, we kind of touched on it. Why do I keep doing it?
Why do I keep doing it? Because to me, one, nobody was telling me that what I was doing was wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Two, it gave me the power that I thought I was, navigating through all my problems, where I became somebody else when I started drinking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Uh, Three, it felt good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
Even
it
when
did.
you got the hangovers and you're throwing up, for some reason, that the dopamine just was like, yo, keep doing it until you keep throwing up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
funny
Mm-hmm.
because I can laugh now and get excited at the same time, but it was definitely an experience, because I think I read it, or uh, I heard Bill say it on the video that I watched. You are somebody else after you have that first shot. When you get to that second
100%.
shot, you know what I'm saying? That's when my whole day and whole world would change. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
first shot for me, I could be all right. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I just needed this to mellow out. You know what I mean? That second shot led to the third shot that was followed by the 15th shot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that process, every shot, every up down turned me up down. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like, why do I keep doing it? It was like I said, it became regular,
mhm.
like, and it was a means to like help me escape what I was feeling, what I was dealing with. I didn't like feeling. I didn't like feeling nothing that had to do with anxiety. I didn't want to deal with that. So even before that situation, I would go to that when I didn't want to feel anything. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
then when the situation came, I knew that that was my go-to. I knew that it would help me escape. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? But then the problem came when it turned on me. You know what I'm saying? So then I asked myself, like, why would you keep doing it after it turns on you? It's because I was so sick in the mind. My brain told me that it was gonna go back to like it was in the beginning when it was my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No
Oh yeah.
matter how many times it bit me,
You just
I
can't.
thought it was gonna be like it was in the beginning when I first picked it up. And it's never gonna be like that again. But your mind tell you that it's gonna be like it was. Come on, man. You know how that Ciroc was talking to me like, bro, you know how I was in the beginning, man. Come holler
Yeah,
at me, man.
yeah.
All you need is a little bit of this, and you're gonna be good. As soon as I hit a little bit of it, it was going. Which brings me to the last one for this section. Why can't I stop?
Why can't I stop? Like I say before, I'm on this path of recklessness, spiraling out of control, right? And there is no bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
it's like every day it was a different excuse for a different reason for me to drink. You know what I'm saying? To the
You
point
hit
it
me
became
right,
like
brother.
exercise. Like, okay, most people go to the gym. I'm going to the bar. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know, because I quote unquote I'm going to the gym to sweat the alcohol out. You know what I'm saying? So for me, why I couldn't stop, it was because the excitement of knowing that I was able to control and function in a society when people wasn't judging me, people were actually
Mm-hmm.
praising me for being an alcoholic. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
being the center of the, you go out, you the party. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
at the bar, you like add it all up, drinks on me, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? So why you can't stop? Because ain't nobody never tell you that you had a problem. And most
Mm-hmm.
importantly, you didn't see it. I mean, in me, I didn't see it as a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't see that you are drinking every day and it's affecting you both emotionally and physically, you just like, hey man, ain't nobody riding me when I'm drinking. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear nothing when I'm drinking. You know what I mean? I ain't thinking about nothing when I'm drinking. And obviously some of the moral decisions that I made in my life that weren't right, all was in the presence of alcohol.
Mm-hmm. I remember knowing that it was gonna get worse for me when I was about to retire from Red Bank and I was walking down the hallway and I was like, man, you about to go under. Cause I knew I couldn't wait to get home to drink. Now
Yeah.
you're gonna send me a check every month and I had B-ball spotlight rolling and I don't gotta go nowhere. So that's when it really got bad. So people out there now that's fellas that's about to retire or
Mm-hmm.
with ladies that's about to retire and you suffering from this, please, 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 I tell you, get it under control before you retire. Because when you in that house and you ain't got nothing to do, that 9 o'clock in the morning drink don't seem that bad.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because it got bad because every day was Friday.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have nowhere to go. I didn't have no responsibilities except when I had a tournament, which was like only like 6 out of a year. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, every day was like a Friday. So it was times where I really forgot the day of the week
Wow.
because I didn't need I had no need to remember that it's a Thursday
Wow.
because every day was Friday.
That's
Like when people was getting up and I'm talking to people on the phone and stuff and they talking about, oh, I gotta go, bro. I gotta go to work tomorrow. That became foreign to me after a while.
that's
You know what
crazy.
I'm saying? And
Mhm.
this and so why I couldn't stop and once that allergy had me, it had me.
Yeah.
Once I took that first one, I had to get another one, and I had to get another one, and I had to get another one. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
remember like it was bad, bro. I remember my ex asked me, she was like, "Won't you go to the doctor and get a checkup?" And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go next Thursday." So I actually call and then schedule it for next Thursday. And my whole thought process was, I'm gonna give time just in case they say something might be wrong with my liver or something like that.
Yeah. You
I'm gonna
gonna
give
try
time for the enzymes to calm down. This is what my crazy alcoholic mind was telling me.
oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
give it me some time for the liver enzymes to calm down, which is a smart idea, but I couldn't never get a day.
Yeah, but
So
all
I
it takes
definitely couldn't get a week.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like if I couldn't get a day, how am I gonna get a week? So that's what was like why I couldn't stop, man. I couldn't stop because it had me. That thing had a clutch on me, and once it got that clutch on you, that thing is a gorilla, bro.
Oh yeah.
That's why when they say it's cunning, baffling, and powerful,
Mm-hmm.
they not lying about that, bro.
Oh no, you're right. You're definitely right about that. Like that
And
fight.
it, yeah, and it was like, what else I'm gonna do? How am I gonna enjoy parties? How am I gonna enjoy football games? How am I gonna enjoy watching? That's when I used to do the holidays. How am I gonna enjoy holidays? How am I gonna enjoy all of this without having it?
The question was, how are you going to be? How are you still going to be able to be Mike Melton? That was the question. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So like,
mm.
you
That's
know,
deep, bro. That's
because
deep.
you still got friends who run in that circle. You still got associates, and even your spouse might have been still drinking at the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
you going to do? You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a
yeah.
tough
And how
situation.
you gonna go get like go on trips and stuff like that? Because I always did all inclusive, and a
Mm-hmm.
big part of it was that they had a swim up bar that I could go drink.
Yeah,
So I didn't even really understand vacations if the place ain't have a swim up bar, and
yeah, yeah.
that's sick because there's so much other stuff you could do. But
Mm-hmm.
I was so focused on that aspect of vacation because of the drinking. I had to have that in my life. So that's why I couldn't stop. It was just, why do I need to? I'm
Yeah,
not, I'm not, and we're gonna get to the part where I was about to say, so I'm gonna save it. The next one is an aggressive defense. When others touch the topic of something you wrestle with, do you feel an agitation in your flesh? And do you immediately defend yourself with statement like it it doesn't bother me if other people don't understand? That is their own issue. I can stop doing it anytime if I want to. And I'm not hurting anybody but myself.
yeah,
Wow. Or how about the old statement? Well, that's just the way I am. But my spouse doesn't see a problem with it. Wow. In your spirit, do you know these things aren't true? That aggression you feel is also demonic in nature. And you must be careful because demons have no limit in their aggression.
oh, they don't. They play. You don't play fair.
So let's start from the beginning. Did you ever say like it doesn't bother me?
I mean, I said that a lot. You know what I mean? Because in my mind, when I woke up 9 times out of 10 by myself, uh, I ain't feel no pain no more. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
I didn't, have the same issues that I went to bed with, or I couldn't remember. So how could something bother me if I don't remember what was bothering me? You know what I mean?
mm,
Drink it away. You know what I'm saying? You
that's deep. That's deep. What was deep for me was like I was still able to function.
know? Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I was still able to work. I was still able to do basketball. I was still able to function. So I tricked myself into believing that it wasn't that bad
yeah,
because I'm still able to do the things that I need to do. You know what I mean? I'm still running this basketball company. I'm still doing the website. I'm still doing all of this stuff. So in my mind, I'm telling myself it's okay.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That you doing this because, and it got to the point where I really started to see like at the end, I was really trying to rush to get articles done so I could go drink.
yeah,
Like I tricked myself into believing like, all right, well, I'm gonna work this morning. I'm gonna put up like 3 articles, and then that gives me the right to use the rest of the day to go
mhm.
drink and party. You know what I mean? That's the kind of sickness that we do to ourselves when we're under that kind of addiction. You know what I mean?
I mean, I told somebody this week. I said, uh, addiction is a behavior. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
It don't
mm,
necessarily have to be drugs or alcohol. You know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
our addiction is just listening to what you said earlier about when you retired, and giving advice to people who may retire. If you
mm-hmm,
have a pattern that you live your life for, and every day I wake up at 9, and then I eat breakfast at 9:15, and it becomes a habit. You know what I'm saying? So when you drinking, and you putting it into like I'm drinking at 11, I'm drinking at 2, I'm
Mm,
drinking at 4. During your recovery, you have to replace that drinking with something else. You know what I'm saying? It
mm.
might be, hey, I'm praying at 2, I'm reading at 4, I'm going to work
Yep,
out
yep,
at
yep.
6. You know what I'm saying? Because the addiction is what it is what it is. It's an addiction, but it's also a behavior. You know what I'm saying? So like you got to replace that negative behavior with something positive. You know what I'm saying? But you got to manage your time and watch how you use your 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the difference. So like you said, when you every day is a Friday, your mind is telling you party, party, party. You know what I'm
All
saying?
day long. Yep,
That's it. You know
yep.
what I'm saying? When you don't have to get up and worry about anything, your mind is telling you drink, drink, drink. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you drinking and it leads to you having sex with somebody, you like drink. I gotta drink. You know what I'm saying? Because these
Mm-hmm.
are things that I do in a 24-hour period or a 7-day week or 30-day month. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to balance out how you start spending your time because time makes a difference. You know what I mean? The more time that I mean, you said you used to wait to, I mean, I used to get out of work and go right to the liquor store. You
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
know what
I
I'm
did
saying?
too.
And
I
grab a
did too.
and grab a 6 pack, right? And drive from the liquor store to a bar. By the time I got to the bar, the 6 pack was gone. You know what I'm saying? And then I would
Wow.
sit there and take shots and then drive
Mm,
home. You know what I'm saying? So,
mm.
I mean, I'm sitting here saying to myself, if I didn't know God was good, the amount of times that I've drove home under the influence and never had a problem ain't nothing but the grace of God. You know what I'm saying?
All
So
facts.
now that
All
I'm
facts.
sober and I get an opportunity to spread this message, I'm supposed to because I'm an example of being in that dark place and coming out. But it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? So
And it's interesting you brought up the time management because I always tell my students and adults I work with, you don't know how much you used to prepare to use, and come down off the drugs or alcohol until you got to fill that time up
yeah,
when you sober. And you sit around and be like, damn, I used to. Yeah, yo, this was a whole.
Hi, man. Like
It
you
was
said,
like a job. It was like a job. Yeah.
like, hey man, I went in, it was light. I came out, it's like, how this happened? You know what I'm saying?
That's deep when you got to fill that time up. The next one says, if other people don't understand, that is their own issue.
I mean, I think this is more self-centered than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
You bringing it out right
I
now. Go
don't
ahead,
think
brother.
nobody, it goes back to the word. We all fall short. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when we start getting judged for what we doing, you like, how you gonna tell me what's going on in my life? Why I'm drinking? Why I need to stop?
Facts.
Man, like,
Facts.
you as they say, you don't know what it is to walk a day in my shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the counter actions is you start getting defensive when people come at you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For that one, it was more of for me was like, I was scared. I was in depression when I was going through what I was going through, but I also knew that nobody could tell me that I couldn't drink because I knew for a fact that they wasn't going through what I was going through. So it was kind of like I had that as a crutch
Yeah.
and I had that excuse in my back pocket. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So I knew that I knew that I'll be able to use that and many people wasn't gonna be able to say anything about my drinking because I could always say you definitely can't relate to what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And I depended on people that probably wanted to tell me to stop. I depended on them probably feeling sorry for me. So they'll turn the other head and this or that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When it was going on. So all of that manipulation and all of that kind of stuff is a spirit.
Yeah.
It's a spirit of deception. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? A spirit of self pity.
Hmm.
Like when I was getting addicted to the misery, I used to go in and really like go in the basement knowing I'm gonna end up sad.
Yeah.
But it was something about being
Yeah.
addicted to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And
Oh yeah.
that's a tough thing that like a lot of brothers and stuff like we don't really want to touch on because the being that space of depression and be addicted to it and
Mm-hmm.
then thinking that alcohol is going to help you, but we forget alcohol is a depressant. So
Yeah.
once it flips on you, it just makes matters worse. You know what I mean? But then our mind tells us it's going to be better. You know what I'm saying? Now this is one of the all-time greats. I still hear this. I can stop doing it anytime if I want to.
Man, control the controllable. You know what I mean? Like that's.
uh,
I had this conversation early with one of my kids. I'm like, you just read that back one more time.
I can stop doing it anytime I want to.
And it's two eyes in there. I can
Mm,
stop, and if I want to, you know what I'm saying?
mm,
I can stop, and if I want to, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
That's power right there. You know what I'm saying? The power is knowing that at any given time you can turn this switch off and be like, I ain't gonna drink today. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If I want to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I ain't gonna drink for 2 days
uh-huh.
if I want to. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So like that up and down struggle is knowing that you have the power to drink and then also knowing that you have the power to not drink. You know what I'm saying? But then you gotta have that mindset of wanting to stop. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you just can't say, "Oh man, I mean, I've been there. I'm pretty sure you've been there every day, or 100 times after waking up hungover. I'm like, I ain't drinking no more. I swear I ain't drinking.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
You
And
know how
then,
many you know how
hey,
many
2 days later,
Fridays was go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
you know what I mean? Even 2 days later, you drunk again.
Off at how many weekends was the last weekend?
Yeah,
How many New Year's days was supposed to be the last New Year's?
yeah,
How many Christmas was supposed to be the last time I was drinking? How many reservations I made? How many times I said, yo, this is the last time I'm doing this. I promise myself. None of that stuff never works, man. You know what I'm saying? I would say that that's one of the oldest statements in the world because our mind tell us that we still have power over it when we
mm,
say I can stop doing it anytime I want. I
yeah,
just drink because I want to, not because I need to. That'd be one of the biggest excuses, and it comes to the point of not really understanding how the addiction already has you.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Because first we get that urge, that obsession. You know what I mean? And then when we take that first one, that's when that allergy click,
mm-hmm,
and then we just go ham. Then we deal with the remorse. It's called the spree and remorse. We do that spree, then we get a remorse, and then we tell ourselves we ain't gonna do it again until the
mm-hmm.
next day when it comes back around, and that same cycle goes again. You know what I mean? And then if you get stuck, you be like, yo, I'm telling you, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. No matter what happens. I remember I almost got in trouble almost got DUI before, man, and I got off of it with a lawyer, and I just said, I ain't say I was gonna stop drinking. I just said I'm gonna drink in the house.
Yeah,
Like the drinking wasn't the problem. You feel what I'm saying?
I'm gonna
And
drink
that's
it.
the and that's the thing that we gotta always remember. You know what I'm saying? And the next one is I'm not hurting nobody but myself. Ooh. That's a big one.
It's,
Ooh.
it's always. I used to say this to my wife, and I used to say this to my kids. I'm like, if it's a house on fire, there's a lot of different ways you can say that house on fire. You know what I mean? You
Mm,
can scream, "Oh yeah, house on fire!" You could, call 911. I got a house on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and my thing is, some people might be like, "It ain't my house." You know what I'm saying? Like, why
mm.
worry about it? You know what I mean? Like, and that selfishness of if it's
Just
not bothering
it's
me,
in
why
the
should it
in
bother
the
you? That's something
yeah.
like, you definitely gotta look down and be like, it ain't affecting you, but it's affecting the people around you because it's affecting how you function and your family and your job, stuff like that. So
And you don't know it causes you to isolate. And then as soon as you isolate, Now you're not president on the house. So for me, I want to go places. I didn't want to stay in the house. I'm tough.
Yeah, something happened. I lost it.
Yeah, that joint was bugging. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a second. Hold on. Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that thing, we had some kind of power thing going on over here. Hello? You hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we had some kind of power thing going on over here. I don't know.
At some point, you just started fading in and out. I knew
I
something was
know.
wrong.
I know. I know. I think it might be StreamYard did say they was having some kind of issues going on. It
Yeah.
could be that. But then my TV that was playing up on YouTube stopped too. So must be some kind of, it must was like a whole internet issue. All right, so
Okay.
we was at the I'm not hurting myself. Yeah, I had just talked about that one. You know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
it says it talks about, well, that's just the way that I am.
Whew. That's an excuse we make as black people all day, every day. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about it, bro.
I had to learn this the hard way, when I kept making excuses for my drinking. You know what I mean? Like I could fall
Mm-hmm.
back and be like, well, how am I alcoholic? Because my dad was an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that's just the way that I am. You know what I'm saying? You know, uh, I could do it because such and such did it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way I am. You know what I mean? So like those excuses you start to believe when you start to internalize it because you've seen how you deal with the situations. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be a runner if I keep running away from the problems because I can fall back on that's the way I am. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
I couldn't face my addictions or face my problems because the people around me made it comfortable with, co-signing. That's just JJ. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Enabling.
you know what I
Yep.
mean? So when you go back to the enabling, that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, like whenever I say something like that, my wife would be like, "No, that's not." You know what I mean? That's the way you used to be. You know what I'm saying? Or and that's the thing. Like, all right, you got to realize that the power of the tongue, man, is a real thing. You know what I mean? So, you know,
That's a good one. The next topic is playing the blame game. Placing blame for your rebellious actions on others, whether it is the world or not, or searching hard for an offense through a scenario is a common tactic of addicts that keeps them from taking accountability of their own rebelliousness.
yeah,
What you got for that, bro?
man. Mike Mountain, the reason I started drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you come home. Oh, the basketball game ran late, so that's the reason why I went to the bar. You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
the kids getting on my
Wow.
nerves. I need something that's going to relax me. That's the reason why I'm not coming home. You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
blame game is for real because you start to blame everybody but yourself. You know what I mean? So and that's why I'm glad I always say like when you got an accountability partner, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
first iron sharpen iron, that's real. You know what I mean? I never forget one time I was out and I was drinking with somebody and I was like, man, I ain't going home. And they was like, what do you
Mm.
mean you're not going home? And I'm like,
Mm.
you ain't going home. Why should I go home? You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
dude was like, you not me. You better than me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I was like, okay, that really hit.
Oh.
Because I'm thinking like
Oh.
he gonna just co-sign me being out in the street all night. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So like when you got people that's around you that's holding you accountable, it's easy to get out of self blame. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't no more excuses. So
Yeah, that's the thing, that blaming on others. If you wasn't getting on my nerves, I wouldn't be drinking. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? I'm drinking because I work hard. I need to wind down. You know what I mean? Like when
Yeah.
I get home from work, I gotta have a couple to wind down. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's the pressure of, you know how the men be doing. It's the pressure that I gotta do to take care of this house. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? If you had to carry all this weight, you'll be drinking the same way that I'm drinking right now. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Any kind of excuse to drink, man. But it's crazy because we have like you'll see people at 1 and 2 year old birthday parties and drinking.
Man,
You
look.
know what
No,
I'm saying? Like we
that's a
look for
true
any
statement. I
reason
tell
to
my daughter
drink,
all
bro.
the time. Man.
We look for any reason to drink. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So but playing that blame game, or especially if they have
Trigger
if,
problem.
or an addiction, or they got something else going on,
Mm-hmm.
then we quick to go down the line and point out what everybody doing. You know what I'm saying? Like they like, yo, you been sipping too much. What
Yeah.
about all that gambling you be doing? You don't
Yeah.
hear me say nothing about that. You don't hear me tell you to put that blunt down.
Yeah.
And look how much you smoke. And
That's
we
crazy.
quick to like twist it and spin it and put it on the other people instead of dealing with what we got going on and facing the realization that this person really could be telling the truth.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? The next one, ooh, confidential sin. Most commonly, addicts are the only ones who think their sins and transgressions are a secret. They look to conceal their issues through lies and actually believe that it's working. Those close to them have noticed that they are drinking too much, doing drugs, squandering away vital finances, overeating, overly aggressive constantly, living in filth, etc. This secret way of living is attributed to the spirit of lying, being
Oh wow.
obsessed, being assessed by this person who is overcoming sin. Even when confronted with the truth, they continue to tell lies. These actions only leave the sinner destroyed spiritually, not others. Mm.
Bro, I did so much lying. I did so much lying when I was drinking, bro. It wasn't even
I
funny.
know,
Like,
man.
and the fact was, if I was in a relationship, that was the worst part. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
somebody would call me and be like, "Where you at?" I'll be like, "I'm at work. I'm sitting at the bar." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
uh, you know, the financial part. You know what I mean? Like going into a bar with like $600 in your pocket, and then waking up the next day, you like got $32 in your pocket. You're like, what I do, man? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow, wow.
I remember
The
it was a time when I was
mhm.
drinking and I wasn't married with my wife, and we were going to a particular establishment like every day. You know what I'm saying? And I remember we
Mhm,
went
mhm.
away for like a week, and the bartender was like, "Yo, where y'all been at?" You know what I'm saying? And then
Mm.
we added it up one day and was like, "Yo, rent is $1,000, and we spending almost $1,000 a week in this
Mm.
restaurant." You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. The drinking too much. I really thought I was like it'd be crazy. Like I try to hide bottles. I try to throw the trash can, take the like, cause I had at the end I was drinking them small joints, them
uh-huh.
airplane joints, but a whole lot of them. I explained to you on the last one we did.
Yeah,
So I knew that if they would come and pick up the trash, that it was gonna be embarrassing.
yeah.
So I was going to different complexes, throwing the trash in dumpsters and stuff. So because I ain't
Uh,
want the I ain't want my garbage. I ain't
yeah,
want my garbage man to be like, damn, this dude drink all the time.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you start going to different liquor stores because the person at that liquor store noticed that you coming all the time. So then
Mhm.
I started going to like 5, 6 different liquor stores. But the problem was you start doing that so much, they start noticing you coming all the
Oh yeah,
time. So then it got to the point to where I was going in and they would put the Ciroc and the Black and Mouse on the counter when I walk
that's
in,
the
bro.
crazy part. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Woo.
like yo, like and the only reason we laughing about this people because when you get to this point you can understand that how sick you were once you
Yeah,
get sober and you're and you get the spirit in you, Like when you come to some meetings, like we laugh at ourselves because we couldn't believe how crazy we were acting, how our mind was so twisted in terms of the way we was thinking. Because and the scary part is, to the average alcoholic, all of this is logical thinking.
Oh yeah.
Like we think that all of this is normal. It's normal to do this and it's normal to do that. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell us that this ain't okay.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that confidential sin, man. And then the secret lives, the fornication, I'm going over here, but I'm really over here, and the just
Crazy,
living in darkness. And all praises to the Most High that He was able to pull both of us out, bro.
oh yeah.
Cause many people go to their death over this, man. You know what I mean? Over this. And I ain't even talk about the finances that I probably spent on alcohol, just bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle. Like I really thought in the beginning I should have just invested in Ciroc. How much I brought, I probably would have got a return on my investment of how much I used to buy. You know what I mean? Like that was dumb on my part. I should have invested in it when it first came out, because I bought so many bottles of it. It was ridiculous, just destroying my mind and my body. All right, the next one, it says, guilty as charged. Your feelings about your behavior should be a sign of whether or not there's a problem. The guilt you feel while still not being able to stop will tell you that there is a deep-rooted sin, that is deep sin rooted within you. Sometimes you can even feel a sinking feeling in your bowels. These things were given to you by your Father as indication that you stop the madness before it starts. If you continue to suppress the guilt and find others to support the suppression, eventually you will become irreparable of reprobate. Ooh. Ooh.
Guilty.
Ooh.
Guilty feeling, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I used to
Yeah.
feel guilty. I mean, to this day, I feel guilty. I'm like,
Yeah.
I got two daughters. You know what I'm saying? And the things
Mhm.
that I was doing to other people's kids, is like, you know what I'm saying? When I mean kids, I mean females. You know what I mean? But
Mhm. Mhm.
you think about it, you're like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I'm only I'm playing, with your emotions. You know what I mean? I'm playing with, different situations that I'm in where I don't got no business having myself or somebody else in. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
in my first marriage, if I was cheating and I was cheating with somebody that was married, I was just like, okay, we just both the same type of people. You know what I mean? Like, you
Rationalizing.
that guilt,
Yeah.
still knowing that you under that demonic spirit, but some way, somewhere in the woodwork, somebody praying for you. So you start getting those
Mm.
little tugs and little, like, yo, this ain't right, man. What you doing? You know what I mean? You start hearing them
Mhm.
voices in your head. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So now it's like you got the good angel on this side, you got the devil. Like, yo, man, keep going. Don't listen to that nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
those are the struggles of when do you really know what you're doing is wrong? You know what I mean? From a sin standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, if you don't live your life by the commandments, to be honest, everything we do in life is wrong right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
you know,
Bring it out, bro. Bring it
that
out.
that, that was deep. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's almost like my wife said something to me the other day. She was like, I want to get to heaven. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Mm.
I can't think about making an immoral decision in my life right now that's going to affect me from getting to heaven. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I can't focus on or pour into something that's going to be a block or a, a distraction on me getting to heaven. You know what I'm saying? So like that that,
That's
that made sense.
you blessed to have that kind of wife, brother.
So
You know what I mean? Bro, I was so sick. I rationalized to the point of saying, God know what I'm going through in this situation, so it's okay for me. So He gonna let me have a pass, and it's okay for me to be into this behavior, because he feels sorry enough for me that he gonna. No, this is how sick I was, bro. This is what I
well,
really
listen,
told myself.
that's why I'm laughing, man. I'm
You know
like,
what I'm saying? Like I really told myself that. I really rationalized that in my head.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I
deep.
mean? But I knew it was wrong because most of the actions that I always used to do, I had to have alcohol in my system. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have the wildness to be able to just do it sober. It was all like I had to be fueled by the alcohol. I had to put that spirit inside of me, and then
Mm.
once that wicked spirit takes over, it just takes you into a whole nother place.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Where it numbs your consciousness to be able to say, nah, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? But the scary part is that sometimes it's just we become I with me, I became understanding, knowing like, yo, this is what it is. And I always say this when I remember before I got married the second time, like when I was living in Jackson, just wilding. I
Mhm.
remember like around 2011 when my uh when my lawyer told me that I might have to live the rest of my life like this, and I was like, man, I can't do this. And that's when I turned my back on God. And I remember having a conscience when I was going on all them dating sites, and I was just wilding. You know what I'm saying? With the women, I remember having a conscience, and then
Mhm.
I remember losing the conscience, like not caring. And then I remember loving it. Like that's how deep I got when they said you get to that reprobate thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I love God so much, because he grabbed me and gave me another chance, bro. Like it, if I would have died around that time, bro, I was going to straight to hell. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't even have been no kind of like him like, all right, don't worry about it, you good. Like that's how deep it had got. You get what I'm saying?
You'd have
Because
got to the gate, they would have been like, next.
yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. And he gave me another chance. So I I think about that when it's like I think about that, bro. Like, yo, he really selected me to give me another chance.
Mm.
So when you see my passion, that has a lot to do with it. Like,
Oh yeah.
he ain't have to select me. Like, both of us, we could still be in darkness right now, bro.
Oh yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Definitely ain't lying about that, man.
The next one, the wasting of vital time. There's so much time being wasted following our lusts, which could have been used to better strengthen ourselves spiritually. With addictions, you find all the time in the world to partake in them, yet never seem to have the time to do constructive things. Whew. Whole families are destroyed through the rebellious behavior we refuse to let go and give far more of our attention. Wow.
I'm just writing down these notes, man.
I'm a,
So
I'm gonna take a, I'm gonna send this to you. I'm gonna find a way to be able to send it to you.
okay.
This joint is deep.
I mean, the
Yeah.
wasting the time one. Is more to it, or
Ooh.
you
No,
good?
that's it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
That's it.
wasting the time
Yeah.
go back to the behaviors, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
that's how I feel sometimes about basketball. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like, you know,
mm,
the game has been good to me. You know what I mean? I've been pouring into it for so long, you know. Uh, now I don't have the same passion that I used to have for it. So I feel
mm.
like I'm wasting my time. You know what I'm saying? You know,
I've been there. I've been
and
there, bro.
now it's like I'm trying to go in a different direction and use my time more productively for the next phase of my life. You know what I mean? Which is trying to get kids to stop thinking about addictions or drinking and alcohol and fornicating. You know, if I could stop at that's 15 through 18, you know what I'm saying? Like that's half the battle. You know what I mean? Because once you
Mhm,
get through
mhm,
that, you know, at 15, 16, I was somebody's father. You know what I'm saying? So like,
mm,
you know, that's another thing. You know what I mean? So like, you know, having a child at an early age, and my daughter 30, but gonna be 32 years old this year. You know what I'm saying?
woo!
Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so and it's crazy because I think I wrote down it. You know, it destroys families too. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
it does, brother.
You know, because I have to say, at one point in my life, you know, if my daughter 32 years old, she only saw me sober for like 11 years. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm,
you know, and when I wasn't sober, I couldn't have no conversation outside of me being the right person. You know what I mean? Like it was either my
mhm,
way or no way. You know what I'm saying? Like
mhm,
I couldn't
mhm,
rationalize, you know, not being in control of my family or not, you know what I'm saying? having my kids respect me or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So like the power of alcohol, man, and those spirits, it's something that's real. You know what I mean? And if you sit in it long enough, you know what I mean, it will hold you underwater, but then it'll let
Mm,
you get some air every now and then. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a constant struggle of up and down. You know what I mean? And while you going up and down, I used to always tell my kids, you cannot take your words back. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't forget what you said. You know what I mean? They might forgive
mm,
you, but you can't change what you said. We can't go back in the time machine and be like, oh well, I knew Mike didn't do that to his ex. You know what I'm saying?
mhm, mhm,
While you was telling everybody else, Mike, he was always doing such and such. He probably did it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm, mhm,
know,
mhm.
that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and to be honest, sometimes your sobriety destroys friendships too. You know what I mean? Because you just don't want that negativity around you anymore to the point of
Facts,
hey, I got to move forward and keep pressing to the mark, man.
facts. Wow, bro, I wasted a lot of time, bro. Um, I look back at like business wise and stuff like that. I was good, being able to travel, being able to do everything I wanted. I was good, and that's what the problem was. I'm chasing my own desires,
Yeah.
but I wasted time in my emotional and spiritual development as a man.
Hmm.
Like, and it says like I remember during the pandemic, I was watching this video with Chuck D from Public Enemy was talking, and he said that when they changed hip hop and they made gangster music, gangster rap, and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
they designed it to make the black man have a teenage mindset until he's 45.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I look back at my life, like I wasted a lot of years because once I got addicted in college, I was stuck in that mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuck in that mode. I remember going to rehab when I was 40 in the my counselor was like going at each person in his small group, and he got to me and he was like, "And you, every day ain't no damn party." You know what I mean? like,
Right.
and I laughed then, but inside I knew he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think about like the selfishness is why I don't have a kid because I really didn't want nobody to be able to tell me that I couldn't go where I wanted to go. I couldn't do
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Um, and I think about if I had the spirit in me back then to be able to stop or to be and to get that emotional development and that maturity in those areas, how different would my life have been? You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then
Facts.
on the other end, I think about if I had my own kid, what I have been able to pour into so many other kids. So
Hmm.
that's the vice versa when it comes to those things, when it comes to that. But I definitely know I wasted a lot of time. So when I used to be places and I used to sit and I used to think about my life, I
Hmm.
thank God so much because my fear was to be 75, 80 years old and to look
Wow.
back at my life and say, damn, like you really wasn't nothing.
That's
You know
crazy.
what I mean? And God gave me a shot, bro. So these last 6 years, I've been on the other journey. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like redemption.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? What can I do without expecting anything in return? What can I do without expecting anything in return? And I just thank God that He gave me that chance to have this redemption time. And because he could have took me away from this earth without having a chance to do that, or He could have allowed me to stay in darkness, and then I would have been regretting my whole life. Could you imagine that, Jay? Being like 80 some years old and just looking at your life and was like,
Yeah. I
damn,
should have
all you
done.
did was chase women your whole life. Like you ain't have no kind of like morals or nothing. Like you
No.
never developed in it. That gotta be scary
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
and then think about not having no time left.
Scary, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. All right, I think we got like two more. The next one is warring alone. Telling yourself no one loves you. Others just don't understand you. and you don't fit amongst the body, or anyone telling you the truth about yourself to justify your behavior may convince you that you are sheltering yourself from disappointment. You will not only feel alone, you will actually be alone, deceiving yourself into believing that you are different and can handle things others are not able to handle, with only prolong the problem and escalate the possibility of going deeper into sin. Those are worldly tactics, but in the obedience to the Father, there is safety. This is the last one. What you got, brother?
I mean,
When
the,
you alone.
the no one loves me part,
Yeah.
that one
Yeah.
was like, no one
Yeah.
loves me because nobody telling me like, yo, bro, what you doing is absolutely wrong. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like, if you're not telling me what I'm doing is wrong, that's just fueling my fire. Like, yo, they don't care. Why should I care? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And always believing that I was different. You know what I mean? Growing up as a child, you know, in the in public housing, you know,
Mhm.
not getting in trouble in my, early life, you know what I'm saying? Just playing sports, you know what I mean? Just going to church, you know what I'm saying? Like quote unquote the choir boy type, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then, once I got introduced, and I started, having sex, it was like that's when I fell deeper into sin. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
it wasn't no like, and it's crazy because like my mom and dad was together until I was 13 years old, before they 14 years old before they got married. You know what I'm saying? So like they were shacking up, from the time I was a baby to the time I was 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? So like
Mm.
marriage was something like, I just thought you did after 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
you
Deep,
didn't get
brother.
married.
That's deep,
You
brother.
know what I'm saying? Like you didn't get married to a female. You just lived with them and you
Mhm.
handled responsibilities and you took care of your household. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
Realizing that shacking up is a sin. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
once you put the alcohol on top of these sins, and you don't have that accountability person that's telling you like, yo, dog, this is wrong. You know what I mean? Like the
Mm.
greatest thing that ever happened to me was one, I got my sobriety down here in Georgia, but I also got married down here in Georgia as well. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that was on somebody telling me at both places. First with the church, like, hey man, I like you. We playing golf every
I
Monday.
know you told me about. I like this
I
story.
need you to get married. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
I love
I
that.
want to
I
see
love
you get
that.
to heaven. You know what I mean? And truth be told, we ended up getting married. And then the second
Oh,
one was,
praise to the Most High.
actually going to a meeting and somebody telling me like, hey, your next drink can kill you. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like, so that's where the cutoff became for me. It's funny because people think when you sober and you actually recover and you still on this journey, everything is all right. But
No, it ain't.
it's not, because for me, my biggest thing now, I still deal with anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and I pray, I worship, I do everything, some things to, cope with it. But there's nothing like, for me, I was an administrator at one of my previous jobs, and we would have like Monday morning meetings. And, these meetings I'm doing sober, but I'm still anxious. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I'm sitting there like this, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm not scratching because I'm on drugs or on anything. Something I said I'm scratching because I got anxiety hives. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
then, even now to this day, you might peep me in a lot of long sleeve shirts because when I'm anxious, I'm scratching. You know what I'm saying? So like that's
Mm.
another reason why I'm like, yeah, I don't want to coach no more because I'm on the sidelines like this now.
You like how that's how Jerry West was when he was with the Lakers.
You
They
know what
say
I'm
he
saying?
have to lead a building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
when
saying.
he's
So
the
now,
general
now I'm
manager.
coaching,
Yeah.
and I'm coaching like this, or I'm coaching with a long sleeve shirt on because these triggers are still popping up. You know what I'm saying, and you still got to go to the Lord in prayer every day to ask Him to continue to send the Holy Spirit to watch over you, man. So
That's
you know,
deep,
so
man.
so when you said was it hard to say I'm walking away from basketball? No, it's actually easy. You know?
um, I'm gonna say the basketball thing to the end, but with me saying nobody loved me, like I remember being in that state. I remember being like feeling alone, feeling like by myself, especially during that situation. You know what I mean? There was times where I could probably count on my hand or both hands at least, or definitely on one hand, that the amount of people that I really felt really believed that I was telling the truth.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like wholeheartedly. Now, a lot of other people might have did, but how I
Yeah.
felt, it made the world made it seem like that
Yeah.
everybody was against me.
Oh
That's
yeah.
how like, and then when you, and then hold on one second, this thing too loud. Hold on. Yeah. So then when you already thinking like that, and then you pour alcohol on top of it,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it makes it 10 times worse.
Wow.
It amplifies everything. It makes the person that might love you the most, it make you feel like that you can't trust them. You know what
Wow.
I mean? Because it puts you so much in that somber mode. I remember my grandma telling me, like, grandson, the only way that you, you're gonna be able out of this is you got to find Christ and you got to start forgiving all of these people that you're talking about. And I was
Whew.
like, man, she sound crazy.
Yeah.
And everybody know how much I respect and love my grandma, but at that point,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to hear nothing she was talking about. I just wasn't in that space because I felt like the whole world was against me.
Mm.
So that just gave me more reason to it's crazy how the addiction makes your mind so sick, that spirit. So I
Mm.
feel like this don't even really make sense. So I'm feeling like the whole world is against me. So that gives me more reason to destroy myself.
Wow.
You feel what I'm saying? When we really think about it, I
That's
think
cool.
the whole world is against me. So I'm gonna destroy myself more.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And that part right there, because that spirit tries to get you to isolate. In the end, it was like overnight. I went from partying and VIP access in Vegas to in the basement with a bottle by myself, like overnight.
That's
That's what that disease does to you. Like, and
wow.
then and everything in between seems like a blur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything in between seems like a blur. And then you talked about early destroying families and this and that. You know what they said, and I heard before, and it just hit, and you'll probably understand it. They say the only thing worse than being an alcoholic is being married to an alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's deep, right? That's
Yeah.
deep when you think about it. They said the only thing worse than being an alcoholic is being married to an alcoholic.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So imagine the not even like, of course you got some people that's physically abusive, verbally
Mm.
abusive, this and this. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't my cup of tea, but
Yeah.
when you're not present,
Oh no.
you know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
absent and you just want to always do what you want to do. And when you're being neglectful,
Whew.
you know what I mean? So any brothers out there that's going through this and you being neglectful, like and you're not present, that's part of the alcoholism. That's that's putting your family at risk. That's putting them out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good thing, man. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's deep.
You know what I mean? So in closing, man, you got any closing remarks? Because this one right here was pretty dope, man.
No, I mean, for me in closing, I just want to encourage people to, one, you got to first admit that you got a problem and you're
Mm-hmm.
powerless to control to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
control. And then the most important thing is it's not okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
you know, you. and it's not, who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This is all
Mm-hmm.
the things that the devil wants you to believe that you are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when the devil was telling me, "Oh, you're an alcoholic," I started to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then once I gave my life over to God, and the devil was telling me, "You are alcoholic," the Holy Spirit was telling me, "You are a alcoholic that's saved by God's grace." You know what I mean? So,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
that's that's the things that you got to think about. You know what I mean? And then, you know, the destroying of families. Alcohol is a generational curse in some families, especially in the black.
Mm.
You
Talk
know what I mean?
about it, brother.
And then how we deal with our issues and our problems. We got to find different ways to manage our time. You know what I mean? Whether
Mm-hmm.
we're grieving, we turn to alcohol and drugs. You know what I mean? When we celebrating, we turn to alcohol and drugs. You know what I mean? So we got to learn how to turn to God and just give Him thanks in the good times and the bad times. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I thank God for the struggle that I had to go through. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Mm.
More than I thank Him for bringing me out. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm. That's deep right there. In closing, for me, man, I just wanted to like touch on the fact of like it's it's so common in our community where like we try to look past what's going on. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's not normal for you and one of your friends to drink a bottle in one night.
hmm
Like we normalize things that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? You sitting there and then you sipping and sipping and then you start looking at the bottle trying to measure how many more drinks in there before y'all got to go to the store again. And there's
wow.
only like two or three of y'all. That's not normal. That's alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? If you sitting there and you drink two drinks and you can't leave the bar,
Mm-hmm.
the allergy hits, chances are you have a problem. You
Oh
know what
yeah.
I mean? And we have to try to normalize getting help. Like
It's
help
okay.
is there, bro. It's there, man. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? But I always say this too. That's why they say it's not for people that need it, it's for people that want it.
Yeah.
Because if it was for people that need it, it wouldn't be no rooms and no rehabs or
Oh
meetings.
yeah.
It'd be too packed. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it's the when God touches you and then you get on the other side of this is the feeling that you have, bro. Like I just want to ask you this question and before we get off. Did you really think it was gonna be a day that you didn't drink, bro? That you wouldn't even want to drink?
I thought it was impossible. I definitely
A
didn't
hundred
think
percent,
realistic.
bro.
You know what I mean? Like you
100%, bro.
not drinking, like what you talking about? Nah, man. Like that can't go.
You know what I'm saying? A
Yeah,
hundred
that can't do
percent, bro.
everything. Yeah, I can't go out with a girl. She drink, I drink. You know what I'm saying? Like what you
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not go to a meeting or a party or anything else. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't never think I was gonna stop drinking,
yeah. I couldn't picture life without it,
man. Yeah.
and now I can't picture life with it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So, in that's the perfect way to close it. You could take us out in prayer, brother.
Okay. Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this fellowship. We thank you for this enlightenment and this outreach and doing your will and not our will, Lord. We just hope that somebody who's struggling tonight might have heard this message and be encouraged that, they can make a difference and a change in their life by one, just submitting themselves to you and giving their alcohol or their addiction or their problems to you, God. We
Mm.
just thank you. We bless you. We worship you and we love you. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, brother, man. I hit you up and tell us when we gonna come back on. Maybe next week or another day
I'll
this
probably,
week.
like I said, I'll see you in Jersey, man, next week
Oh yeah,
sometime.
oh yeah. Pop up, brother.
Yeah,
Pop up
so,
so we could go out.
yeah,
All
so I'll
right.
be out for like the 15th somewhere.
All right, no doubt, bro. Let's
All
let's
right,
chop it up when you get up here.
all right.
All right, thanks, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it was good tonight. Sorry for the delay. We had some kind of like power outage over here. So, but we managed to get the second part done. I want to thank everybody that tuned in, and hopefully this message touched somebody out there tonight. All praise to the Most High. Shalom.